boys and girls, it's Miss Gradassi. I'm going to be sharing with you the song of the teeny tiny mosquito. Boys and girls, have you ever seen a mosquito before? Mosquitoes tend to bite. Ooh, I wonder what's going to happen in our story. At the crack of dawn, perched on a log, a mosquito came into view of a frog. The frog, with a howdy hi ho, opened his mouth and took a quick gulp. Oh, bye-bye, teeny tiny mosquito. Not thinking for a minute he'd done anything wrong, the frog patted his stomach and burst into song. But his bogmates shouted not a single bravissimo. For instead of deep bass notes, they heard the sounds, the buzzes and squeaks of a teeny tiny mosquito. By mid-morning, the frog had only one wish, not to be eaten by a hungry fish. This was the frog, as I'm sure you know, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down the teeny tiny mosquito. Not thinking for a minute she'd done anything wrong, the fish raised her fin and burst into song. But her seafaring friends shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of high fish notes, they heard other sounds, the buzzes and squeaks of a teeny tiny mosquito. With the clock chiming noon, the fish had bad luck. She landed kerplunk in the jaws of a duck. This was the fish, as I'm sure you know, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. Not thinking for a minute he'd done anything wrong, the duck opened his bill and burst into song. But his feathered friends shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of loud quack quacks, they heard the sounds, the buzzes and squeaks of a teeny tiny mosquito. Oh no. When dusk came, the duck's life had a change in style. How different things look in a crocodile. This was the duck, as I'm sure you know, who at noon had eaten the fish, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. Not thinking for a minute she'd done anything wrong, the croc raised her snout and burst into song. But her thick-skinned friends shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of low croak notes, they heard other sounds, the buzzes and squeaks of a teeny tiny mosquito. Everything shone brightly by the light of the moon as it hung in the sky above the lagoon. With a pain in her belly, the croc was soon struck, so badly, in fact, she coughed up a duck. This was the duck, as I'm sure you know, who at noon had eaten the fish, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. The stars came out, but before anyone spoke, in a short while the duck awoke. His stomach ached and he was feverish. To the surprise of his friends, he coughed up a fish. This was the fish, as I'm sure you know, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. On that starry night, without a trace of fog, the fish squirmed in pain and coughed up a frog. This was the frog, as I'm sure you know, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. The frog opened his mouth, a gigantic affair, and the happy mosquito took off to the air. Many buzzes and squeaks, and a howdy hi ho, and a bye bye froggy thrown in as the teeny tiny mosquito shot into the sky on his merry way, buzzing and squeaking to this very day. And ear-splitting shouts of bravissimo are heard after each song of the teeny tiny mosquito. That's right, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed the story of the song of the teeny tiny mosquito. All right, boys and girls, I will see you later. Bye.